Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, Iran promises to strike back after the devastating U.S. strikes on its 3 key nuclear facilities. We're going to look at the impact on those attacks on Iran's nuclear program and get Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's response. And we're going to hear what President Donald Trump said about the possibility of regime change in Iran. Here at home, how church security prevented what could have been a mass shooting at a church in Michigan. And it is the summer travel season. The Secretary of Transportation tells CBN News how they're working to keep traveling Americans safe. All those stories and more right now on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is a busy Monday, June 23rd. We're going to begin this half hour in the Middle East as Iran is firing ballistic missiles at Israel, while Israeli forces are hitting Iran with massive strikes. Those attacks coming in the aftermath of the surprise U.S. attack on Iran's 3 main nuclear enrichment facilities. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the strike a, quote, pivot of history. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell brings us the story now, reporting from Jerusalem.
Defense officials detailed the attack, which was the largest B-2 bomber operation in history and the first use of the 15-ton massive ordnance penetrator, a bunker-busting bomb capable of penetrating deep underground.
At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordow. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear target areas.
The scope and scale of what occurred last night would take the breath away of almost any American if you had an opportunity to watch it in real time. Planes flew from the middle of America in Missouri overnight, completely undetected over 3 of their most highly sensitive sites, and we were able to destroy nuclear capabilities. And our boys in those bombers are on their way home right now.
Before and after satellite images show the destruction to all 3 sites, but there are concerns Iran might have moved some of the enriched uranium beforehand.
Just hours after the U.S. struck the nuclear sites at Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan, this was the answer of the Islamic regime. A barrage of about 25 missiles. This one hit north of Tel Aviv. Thankfully, no fatalities. But as you can see, lots of damage.
Unfortunately, we're talking about a continuous pattern of the Iranian barrage of missiles targeting our civilian communities. The threat of Iran and that regime is not just a threat against Israel, it's a threat against all Western ideology, a regime that calls for the death of Israel, but also the death of the United States. We're in this together.
We're not at war with Iran, we're at war with Iran's nuclear program.
Vice President J.D. Vance told NBC News the U.S. wants Iran to return to the negotiating table to seek peace.
What we've said to the Iranians is we do not want war with Iran, we actually want peace. But we want peace in the context of them not having a nuclear weapons program, and that's exactly what the president accomplished last night.
But later on Truth Social, President Trump posted this. It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MAGA or Make Iran Great Again. Iran's foreign minister says the time for diplomacy is over.
There is no red line that they have not crossed. And the last one, and the most dangerous one, happened only last night, when they crossed a very big red line by attacking nuclear facilities. I don't know how much room is left for diplomacy. We are now calculating the damages.
After the strike, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu honored President Trump.
History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace.
Sunday afternoon, Netanyahu went to the Western Wall, saying prayers for the IDF and security forces, the hostages, and President Trump.
And Am Kelavi
Come.
A people has risen up as a lion. We will continue to do wonders and miracles to ensure the eternity of Israel for generations.
Netanyahu also placed a note which read, "A people has risen up as a lion. Am Israel High. The people of Israel live."
And Chris Mitchell joins us now to continue our coverage. So, Chris, what does Benjamin Netanyahu mean when he says Israel won't engage in a war of attrition?
Well, Ephraim, one thing I think they may not have to enter into a war of attrition. He says that Israel is closing in on all its targets. He says they're very, very close. They're hitting the ballistic missiles, an existential threat, and the other existential threat, its nuclear program. And so there's a need right now. There's not a need necessarily to prolong it weeks or even months. Today, it's hitting significant targets to weaken the regime, and they can continue to hit targets like it's doing in southern Lebanon. They're hitting Hezbollah targets as well as Beirut, for that matter. So if necessary, they can continue to hit targets likely in Iran itself. This will also help, according to Netanyahu, their campaign in Gaza against Hamas. And what he says is they won't have the, quote, Iranian scaffolding, and it could literally collapse Hamas. He also does believe that this could lead to an expansion of the Abraham Accords. Many people believe that's what this could do as well.
Chris, there are reports Israel has attacked the Fordow nuclear facility today. What are you hearing?
Well, hearing that the IDF hit the access roads to keep Iran away from the facility itself and hit the entrances as well to stop any entry. Iran is saying that Israel has hit the site itself again. There are satellite imagery, which we had in our report, showing 6 holes and major above-ground destruction. It may take a while to find out exactly what's going on underneath the ground. There is a question of where is the enriched uranium. There are satellite images a few days ago showing trucks leaving Fordow before it was hit. And where is that? Netanyahu, in a press conference, said they have interesting intel about where that enriched uranium is, but he obviously couldn't say what.
How important is the effort by the Israeli Air Force to eliminate the ballistic missile launchers?
Well, what it does, Ephraim, it really reduces the kind of sirens that we're experiencing here on a daily basis here in Israel. The number is, as Israel hits the number of missile interceptors, the number of Iran's long-range missiles reduces and its launchers. So that's the battle going on, and that will determine, just like we saw yesterday in Tel Aviv, the damage that was done. There's also a huge development going on today, Ephraim. Israel is hitting, the defense ministry is saying they're hitting with, quote, unprecedented force regime targets, meaning government repression bodies in the very heart of Tehran. That's the Bajis headquarters. What they are responsible for enforcing Islamic law. They hit even prison. Now, this is an infamous prison in the heart of Tehran, where many political prisoners have gone to be tortured, sometimes executed. The foreign minister of Israel said today, long live freedom. Also, the Israel destruction clock. That's in the middle of what they call Palestine Square. That's a countdown to the destruction of the Jewish state. That was hit. The Revolutionary Guard's internal security headquarters, the ideology headquarters, and other regime targets. The IRGC targets in Tehran, they're responsible for suppressing threats and maintaining the regime's stability. So what these attacks are doing are attacking the regime ability to impose control. And if you take all these together, Ephraim, it really does look like regime change.
As we wait for Iran's response to the United States, we're hearing about fears of a wider war in the Middle East. But who would stand by Iran? Are there any allies who would fight alongside them?
Well, it seems like in terms of Iran's allies, Hezbollah is gone as a formidable force. They're a shadow of what they were. Hamas is gone. The Houthis are gone. The other nations in the region, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, many of the Gulf countries, they may be publicly condemning Israel right now, but privately cheering them on. It looks unlikely that China or Russia will they'll likely stay out of the war. So who's else remaining? And so it seems like Israel really does have free rein, at least for now, to be able to continue to hit all the targets they need. And maybe they're just a week or two away from finishing up the goals of their campaign against Iran.
For a moment, let's talk about the ethnic makeup of Iran. Why is this important if there is regime change?
Well, if regime change does come, Ephraim, Iran is really about 50% Persian, but there's also at least 4 important ethnic groups, maybe not well known outside of Iran: the Azeris, Kurds, Arabs, the Balochs. And these are important to consider if there is a regime, if the regime does fall, and it could determine if the country remains united or if it breaks up along these ethnic lines and into smaller, distinct areas. There is a sense that not only do we want to make, or do many people want to make Iran free again, but some people are saying make Iran small again, and maybe that will be a way that they can continue after a potential regime change.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for your insights. As always, we continue to pray for you, and we look forward to hearing from you again in the days ahead. Thank you. Coming up here at home, how a potential mass shooting at a church in Michigan was stopped and lives were saved. Plus, what churches in Ukraine are going through as Russia continues its deadly attacks. We're going to have those stories for you when we come back. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Police are praising the heroics of church staff in preventing a potential mass shooting at a Detroit area church Sunday. It came after a man opened fire outside the church, but the church security stopped the attack and killed the gunman. Dale Hurd is on the story.
Crosspoint Community Church in Wayne, Michigan was holding a special vacation Bible school service when the gunman opened fire outside.
Please, everybody come to the back.
Ring camera video near the church also captured what seemed to be multiple rounds of gunfire. Police say the gunman was driving erratically near the church, then got out of his vehicle wearing a tactical vest and carrying a rifle and a handgun, and began firing as he approached the building. That's when a church member and other staffers confronted him.
A parishioner struck the gunman with his vehicle as the gunman shot the vehicle repeatedly. At least 2 staff members shot the gunman, causing fatal wounds.
The gunman has been identified as 31-year-old Brian Anthony Browning from a nearby town. Police initially said the man had no connection to the church, but other reports say Browning's mother is a member and that the suspect attended 2 or 3 services over the course of the last year.
We are grateful for the heroic actions of the church's staff members, who undoubtedly saved many lives and prevented a large-scale mass shooting.
One church member was shot in the leg during the incident. The pastor said church members and staff have been trained to respond to emergency situations, which saved lives. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
I want to turn now to Ukraine, which is still reeling from Russia's deadliest strike on Kyiv this year, a missile attack that killed 28 and injured more than 40. President Zelensky says it's a clear sign more pressure is needed to force Moscow to the table. CBN's John Jessup shows us how civilians in the city of Sumy are paying the price.
This is my grandfather's youngest grandson.
Like any grandfather, Pastor Mykola beams when talking about his grandchildren. For his oldest, Daniela, the feeling's mutual.
You must be very proud.
Yeah.
The two are all smiles during a recent visit to Washington, D.C., a far cry from a few weeks ago when Ukraine's 3-year war came incredibly close to claiming the pastor's life.
Tell me what it was like for you in April on Palm Sunday.
The
weather was not very sunny, but at the same time, there are no signs of something bad coming or something that would disturb my soul.
Pastor Mykola, who knew from childhood he wanted to follow God's call, was in the middle of his sermon when all of a sudden, an explosion literally rocked his church. Through an interpreter, Pastor Mykola said his only focus was keeping everyone calm.
Did you see in the faces of your congregants fear? Did you see panic? did people immediately start praying?
Декотрі дуже злякались.
Some people were completely afraid. Some people were trying to stay calm.
Moments later, a second explosion shattered windows. That's when he ordered everyone to take cover in the church basement. Outside, chaos reigned in the streets of Suma in northeast Ukraine, where 2 Russian ballistic missiles killed 35 people at the start of Holy Week, including this family of 3 on their way to a Palm Sunday service. Pastor Mikola marvels that only 2 people in his building were slightly hurt, considering one of the missiles struck just 100 meters from his Light of the Gospel church. This video shows the extent of the damage. While waiting for the all clear, his congregation did what it knows best.
Співали, молились.
First singing, praying. They were thanking God for being alive.
The following Sunday, they opened the church for worship and celebrated the resurrection with a renewed appreciation for life. Pastor Mikola is in the United States visiting his family and sharing his story, saying the only path to peace is by turning to God. We should note that the same day we sat down for this interview, his hometown was hit again by Moscow. In retaliation for Ukrainian drone strike targeting Russian military bases and bombers. While he's still hopeful, it serves as a reminder that this chapter of the story is far from over. John Jessup, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead with summer vacation season underway here in the United States. We're going to take a look at a road trip with a father of 9 who also happens to be the Secretary of Transportation. We're going to hear from Sean Duffy about his plan to get America moving right after this. The summer travel season is already underway. As part of our country's 250th anniversary celebration, the Department of Transportation is promoting the Great American Road Trip. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy wants Americans to know he is focused on our safety. CBN's White House correspondent Kelly Wright is on the story.
Welcome to the Great American Road Trip Expo.
Secretary Duffy sees this first Great American Road Trip Expo as a way to showcase the many great aspects of this country and how government, specifically his department, serves the people. During a tour of the expo, we talked about his plans and love for the job.
I have the best department. We have a really good, team at DOT, and what we do truly impacts people's lives. How they move. Do they move on time? Are they delayed? What kind of congestion? But also, do they get to where they're going safely? And so to have that kind of impact on people's lives, I love it, and I couldn't imagine that I could love a job this much. I've never worked harder in my life and never had more fun in my life.
What do you do about modernizing air safety in America, realizing that is a huge task before you?
To put it simply, we have to gut the whole system, build it brand new, right? That's easier said than done because we have to keep planes flying and not colliding and landing and taking off. And so we have to choreograph that really well. We have a plan in place. We're going to let industry come in and pressure test it, see how they think we've done, and if they have other ideas for us that we can take, we'll do that.
Duffy knows what has to be done to modernize airports, hire more air traffic controllers. Also, he knows it will cost money to make the necessary improvements that will enhance safety and smoother travel. He is seeking more than $12 billion from Congress to get the job done.
And so I need the money up front, and I need them to clear the deck in regard to permitting. And if they can do that for me, we can get this done in 3 to 4 years. But there's nothing more important in regard to infrastructure. No bigger project, no better project, no more important project than this one. And it's bipartisan as well. Both sides know it has to be done.
You're here celebrating America 250. And I'm seeing a lot of cars that are made in America, and you're promoting that. You're promoting for families to get out and celebrate America, taking road trips. What does that mean to you? You're a father of 9 children.
So, first of all, every car here is made in America. And I think our country is so beautiful that to celebrate it, you should see it. And so I want people to take a road trip. And so not only do you see your country, but I just have the fondest memories of my own family going on a road trip, or I've taken my kids on countless. And what happens is if you get them to put away their phones, which I do, I'm able to do that, the conversations that happen, the information that you get, the personalities that come out, and the bond that happens as you get in a car and travel across the country, I think is an experience that is hard to replicate in any other way that families interact. It's almost like the dinner table, which is so important, having dinner as a family. This is an extended dinner.
My final question is, what is your hope for America, and how does your faith in God compel you to pursue that?
Listen, I think a country that believes in freedom, democracy, and free enterprise doesn't work unless it's a people of faith and people that can tap into that, because I think that breeds morality into culture, into government, into businesses. And so for me, I'm a Catholic. I have 9 kids. It drives what I do and how I live my life. And again, what I can do here is make it better for families.
Our thanks to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy for taking time out to talk to us. He has a very busy schedule and a lot on his plate. But the bottom line is he believes that the greatness of America is found in the homes of its people. He believes in the power of family and God. At the Transportation Department in Washington, Kelly Wright, CBN News.
And we'll be right back with an encouraging word for your Monday. Stay with us.